Hey, I'm Colin Smith from Photoshopcafe, and today we are going to be setting up the DJI Ronin RS5. Now, if you're using a previous version of this gimbal, I've made other videos showing you how to set those up. This video is not sponsored or endorsed by DJI. Now, I do want to thank B&H Photo for loaning me this gimbal so I can make the video. I have to send it back when I've finished, so there's no endorsement or anything like that. And today we're going to be setting up the Sony a7S III camera. Now, it doesn't matter what camera you're setting it up with, the steps are going to be the same. The only difference is going to be the menu controls on the camera, which we will also cover, as well as balancing and everything else. So let's get started. So everything comes in this kit. This is not a review. If you want to see a review, I'll link to my review on my other channel, but let's just go ahead and do the full setup. So the very first thing we do is we grab the tripod because we want to set up a nice base for us to set up. Nice thing about this new tripod, you open one leg and the other two open by itself. Great. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the battery. Make sure that you fully charge the battery just by opening it here, plugging it into the USB-C. All right, so let's just go ahead and we're going to put this base on here. Now what you want to do is just give it a little turn, make sure it's nice and tight. Don't over tighten it and strip the thread. Now we can see where we're going to put the gimbal. Let's go ahead. So we're going to attach it here. You're going to see the little gap, and there's a gap there, and then there's some contacts. Don't touch those contacts with your fingers because the grease and stuff from your fingers can cause these to corrode and affect your connections eventually. All right, so we're just going to pop that down, and then what you're going to do is just lock it in place. Now that lever is not going to go all the way across. That's normal. So each one of these arms, you're going to see there's a locking lever. We're going to use that when we balance, but right now we're looking at the locking switches here. So we're going to take that lock, and that'll enable us to swing this up. And let's look at this. There's another lock up here. We're going to unlock that and then just lock it into position so that the gimbal should look like this. So you want to take this mounting plate now and you want to mount it on here. Now, the way you do this is you're going to take the part where the camera goes, and the plate here should go at the back, but you can also see there's a little rubber piece here that's going to go against the wheel, so it's only going to work one way. Start at the front, push it back, and then when it just starts to grip, you're going to turn this. By the way, make sure that this lever is switched to unlock. Let's start about there and then lock it in. Great. Let's take the mounting plate for the camera. And here's the plate. And you're going to notice you have two options for the screw. You can have a regular screw or you can have the wing nut. I like to use the wing nut because I can just use my fingers and I don't have to use a screwdriver. All right, before you put your screw in here, what you want to do is you want to take this little piece and you want to slide it in. And then when you slide it in, you want to have the little rounded piece at the bottom. Then we're just going to put the screw in here. And now we're going to mount it to the camera. Let's just start to tighten it up. And in this little piece that we inserted, make sure we pull that back so it's nice and snug. And that's going to stop the camera accidentally rotating on the gimbal. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to mount the camera onto the gimbal. Super easy. Make sure that we take the lever at the back and it's unlocked. Then we're just going to take the camera, take it to the side, slide it across, you'll hear it click, and then we're going to lock that in position nice and firmly. In fact, bring that lever here all the way across. Make sure that camera's nice and snug in there and it's not going to move. Another thing you can do is if you have a heavier lens, you can take this lens support. This is what this little Y thing is for. Put the screw in the front, pop it in here. And then we're just going to tighten it down. What that does is it just supports the lens. So all the weight is not back here. It kind of distributes the weight a little bit on the camera and kind of helps with the balance as well. Now we have two power cables. One of them is going to work on the intelligent tracking module, and the other one is going to connect to the camera. So we're going to use the short one here on the tracker. And it's just going to snap on here magnetically. And then we're just going to plug it in. All right, so when you connect this tracker, make sure you put the top one pointing down. Just be careful when you do that here, that you're not covering the lens or blocking it in any way. By putting this in the down position at the back here, that'll enable it to happen. If you have that pointing up, notice that that cable is going to start to block there. You don't want that. It's going to affect your tracking. So just make sure when you plug it in, you just plug it in facing downward. Keeps it out of the way. Right now, I'm going to show you how to connect the camera with Bluetooth so you can wirelessly start and stop recording from the gimbal. So make sure the camera and the gimbal are turned on. And then we're going to go to the camera. And then what we want to do is go to Network, go down to Bluetooth, go to Bluetooth function, turn it on. Then you're going to go to Pairing. And now what you want to do is go down to the gimbal and we're going to swipe down until you see the Bluetooth. We're going to choose the A7S3, which is that one. When you start pairing, you'll see the camera model on there and then it will connect. And usually that's all you need to do. So at this point now, I can just start and stop recording. So if we want even more control, we can use the camera control cable. So this is a USB-C cable that's going to enable us to change things like aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. We can also change the electronic focus as well as electronic zoom on cameras that support it. So let's go ahead and connect the cable now. We're going to take this into the power, which is the bottom one. And of course, make sure that the camera and the gimbal are powered off when you're connecting these cables. And then we're going to drag this underneath so it doesn't get in the way. And then we're just going to pop open the side of your camera and you'll see there's a spot there for the USB-C. You're going to plug that in. Now we have the cable connected. Let me show you how to set up the controls on the Sony a7S III. Now it's going to be a little bit different for each camera, but the principles are going to be the same. Now, very important, if you want this to work, you have to go to the Bluetooth function and turn Bluetooth off. If Bluetooth is turned on in the camera, it's not going to work. So maybe if yours isn't working, that's why. And now let's go ahead and set it up to work with the cable. We're going to go down now into the setup and we're going to click. And let's go down to USB. So we're going to tap on USB and we're going to see a USB connection mode. So when we tap, we're going to see some options. At the bottom, we have remote shooting. We're going to choose remote shooting and then choose set. Now you might have to restart the camera for this to take effect, but now we can record and stop. Or so we have some other controls here too. If we go down to dial functions, you'll notice there's a little dial here. Right now this is set for ISO. If I choose the dial functions, I can change it. Now it's controlling the aperture. I control the shutter speed. You can set it to electronic focus, but if you have a mechanical focus, you can also control it from here. And we can also do things like pan, tilt, or roll on the gimbal. Now there's another setting here, and that's the M button. So if we swipe across, we go to M button, and now we can use this every time we do it. We can start, stop recording, or take photos. Or we can map it to different function keys on the camera to do different things. So what we're going to do now is we're going to balance the gimbal. So there's 3 different motors on this gimbal. 1, 2, and 3. This motor here is the tilt motor. This moves it up and down. It tilts it up and down. This one here is the roll motor. It rolls it side to side. And then the bottom one here is the pan motor, which pans it around, which will cause it to go side to side. By balancing these 3 motors, it's going to give you nice smooth footage. It's going to prevent strain on the motors. If these are not properly balanced, the motors can overheat and shut down. At best, it's going to start to be shaky. If you get that kind of shaky thing when you're working with the gimbal, that can be because of a bad balance. So before you balance, you want to make sure that all the equipment is set up. You want to make sure all your filters are on here, lens hoods, whatever you're going to be using, cables, everything is connected. Then we balance. So the first one I want to do is I'm going to take this down. I'm going to put this camera at level. So what we want to do is support the camera, unlock by moving that lever. Then you're going to unlock this motor. This will be the pan motor by clicking. This one's just a little different than the other locks. But if you look at this, notice that camera just wants to fall backwards here. So we need to move the weight forward. So we can do that by turning this little knob. These knobs make it so easy compared to what it used to be. Notice that's locked. That's nicely balanced. All right, let's lock that. And now we're going to pull that arm across to lock that. Great. Let's do the next one. We're going to do our roll motor. So support it with your hand. Loosen off here with the lever. While supporting it, unlock it. Now you'll notice it rolls side to side. If you look at this here, it's rolling this way, which means there's too much weight on this side. We need to move some weight over to the other side. And to do that, we just turn this. And what it's doing is it's moving everything over that, and it's pushing the weight that way. If we go too far, it'll roll the other way. Let's bring it back. And notice it's pretty much staying in position wherever I put it. That means that we've balanced that. So why don't we just lock that right now? So take that locking lever, and then we're just going to lock that axis or that motor. Finally, we're down at our tilt motor. Actually, a couple of different things we need to do on this one. So why don't we just hold this, support it with your hand, and then we're just going to unlock that, and then we want to pull it straight up. And you might see that that one's rolling backwards. It means we need to move stuff down that way. So let's just turn that knob. That looks pretty good. All right. So we're just going to lock that. And then we're going to pull it up. And now we're going to have this sitting level. The next thing we need to balance is the camera position here. So loosen that off. And then notice as we move the camera forward, it's going to tip forward. As we roll it back, it's going to tilt back. But notice it's a little loose. Sometimes you can take this lever and just touch it a little bit. So it just gives it a little friction without locking it in. And that'll stop it sliding backwards and forwards on you. That's looking pretty good. All right, so we're going to lock that into position. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to test our balance. So we've got the tilt motor is unlocked. Let's unlock the roll motor. And let's unlock the pan motor. So all the motors are now unlocked. And the way to test if we've got a properly balanced camera or a properly balanced gimbal is we should be able to move this into any position and the camera is going to stay stable. That is a correctly balanced gimbal. Great. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to turn this on. So let's take the power button right here. And now it's on. So the first time you turn this on, it's going to ask you to register it. You can actually run it 4 times, I believe, before you have to register. All right, then you're going to download the DJI Ronin app onto your phone, and you're going to go across to the RS5. Now to get the RS5 to work, you might have to go into your Bluetooth settings, and then under your Bluetooth settings, you're going to see DJI RS5. So go there, connect the Bluetooth to your phone, and then just follow the steps on here to activate. You're just basically going to push the activate button. And then when you're in here, you can do things like put it to sleep, change the mode, and do some basic settings in the phone. Once you've activated this, you don't need to have the app running all the time to use it. You can use the gimbal without the phone and without the app. So once you've done all that, what you want to do is you want to go in here and you want to do auto tune. So if you look on the back, you'll see there's an option where you click and it says auto calibrate, and then you're going to choose start calibration. And now it's going to shake and rattle and roll a little bit here. And essentially what it's doing is it's fine tuning the balance. So we'll just give it a second here. It's 50% done calibrating right now. And now it's 100% complete. If we move the camera up and down, notice that the camera stays nice and level. Double tap to recenter it. Now with pan follow, I go up and down. Notice the camera stays level. I tilt it. Notice the camera stays level. But if I pan, notice the camera will pan. So this is nice to follow nice horizontal movements. And then of course, pan tilt follow will now also enable me to go up, or I can tilt the camera down. And of course, it will pan side to side, but it will not roll. The other option is FPV. FPV enables it to also roll side to side. So that will give you complete movement and it will follow your movement however you move the camera. Most of the time, I like to work in pan follow because I'm going to set the tilt and the roll, and then I'm just going to let it just kind of pan as I move around. Now I'll double click and that will reset it. The other one is if you hold down the trigger. With the trigger down, the camera will stay in position and you can move the gimbal however you want, and it's just going to kind of lock it level the whole time. See that there? Another little trick, triple tap and it will flip around into selfie mode. Double tap and it will go back into regular. All right, let's look at switching between vertical and horizontal modes. All right, in order to change this into vertical mode, what we're going to do is take this lever and we're going to undo this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this one that you loosened, you're going to push it in, squeeze that button, and then you're just going to lift it out. Very easy. And then you'll notice there's another groove over here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that into that position, push in this little screw, snap it into position, release. And that's it. Now you're in vertical mode. You have to do a little bit of rebalancing. According to DJI's documentation, you only have to rebalance the roll motor. You don't have to balance the tilt or the pan motor. So that's this motor here. So we would loosen this off, unlock it, and it might have to just go a little bit more that way. That's it. And then to put it back, make sure all your motors are locked. Just by tapping here, go into sleep mode, we'll do it. And then loosen this off again, and then push in with that screw, and it just lifts off. Then we just tilt it around, put it back in, and make sure you tighten this up so it's nice and tight. There we go. And you're good to go again. Let's have a look at how we can set up the smart tracker. So all we do is on the RS5, swipe left on the screen, and now you're going to see a preview. And then you just need something in front of it, and then on the screen just draw a little square around it. Now tracking is going to be turned on, and it's going to track that object. I could make it do my face. Let me show you how to do that. Triple click, have it come all the way around so I'm actually looking at the screen here. Draw a square around my face, and now look at this. It's going to follow me around. And as you can see here, it's green, means it's tracking, and it's tracking my face. Let's have a look at briefcase mode. So if we want to install the briefcase mode, what we're going to do is we're just going to tap it here, and this is going to lock it. And I'm actually going to shut it down. because I'm going to be connecting these contacts, and you don't want to really have your camera running while you do that. And this is going to just kind of go in the bottom, slide up, locks in, lock it into position, and that's it. Take this handle into position where you're comfortable. Let's turn this back on. And one of the new things with the RS5 is we now have some controls on here. We have a trigger. We have the joystick, so we can move the camera around. We have the start and stop recording. And then, of course, the mode button right here. So the way you want to do this is in briefcase mode. To do that, hold the trigger down, bring the camera all the way down until it's like this. And now when you're in briefcase mode, you can use the grip handle to help you move it around. And I love to work like this. This is underslung mode or briefcase. And now you can just very easily, using two hands, supporting your weight. And this can kind of help you get a smoother and more stable kind of movement. If you don't have one of these yet, I'll put a link to it underneath where it's going to go to B&H so we can support them for being nice enough to loan me this gimbal to do the video. Thanks, Abe. And so drop a comment, let me know if you found this useful, and if you're new to the cafe, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you won't miss any of my videos. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.